Let's put it on tape here for everyone to see. Ryan Wilson, your expectation, who met it, who exceeded it, who really opened your eyes here on Thursday?
Well, I'll tell you who exceeded it, Joe. It starts with Christian Watson out of North Dakota State. Unofficial 4.28 gets your attention. A 4.36 also gets your attention, which was the official time. He's 6'5", and like Brady, I noticed him 2 years ago watching Trey Lance, and you keep seeing this guy making plays down the field, high-pointing balls and outrunning guys to the end zone. Track guy from Tampa. He had a really good year this year as well, now that Trey Lance in the NFL, and I think he only helped himself with what he was able to do tonight, what he was able to do a month ago in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, and he's a great kid when we talked to him yesterday on set. A ton of confidence. I think he's going to probably interview extremely well, and we're seeing him here with his vertical, which is also through the roof, 11.4 on the broad jump. I was really impressed with what he did.
You said it earlier, too, just about him. These smaller school guys aren't scared anymore. I think they look at this as a big opportunity to showcase their talents. And not that Baylor falls into that category, especially with the way they've played under Dave Aranda and in the Big 12 now. But Taekwon Thornton, I mean, the unofficial time looked a lot better than the official time when we thought he broke John Ross's record. But nonetheless, watching him on tape, you knew he was a big play wide receiver for them this year. He plays bigger than he actually ended up measuring height-wise. But it was the speed to me that stood out. And that's about as flawless of a 40 as you're going to find. But at 4.28, everyone in the NFL is looking for a guy who can separate and a guy who can go up and make the contested catch and high point the football. He's got both. And so this young man, I think, did a lot for himself to, in a way, almost separate from what is kind of a clouded, muddied wide receiver group with so many talented guys in it.
Yeah, most definitely some guys standing out here on Thursday. And as we talk to these talent evaluators, general managers, a lot of them giving the same refrain that a guy can only change the opinion positively so much here at the Combine. But you can fall out of favor when it comes to maybe falling short of those numbers. Who did that here on Thursday, Ryan?
And, Joe, it's important to remember these numbers aren't the end-all, be-all because we have the tape, we have the interviews, we have the medicals, which are much more important. But David Bell out of Purdue, he had a huge season, and I went back and checked my notes to make sure. I told you earlier, I checked my Taekwon Thornton notes. Those are going to change. But the David Bell notes were actually spot on. He's a yak guy. He's a big catch radius guy. But also I wrote down he struggled to separate when I watched him play, and he also had he wasn't incredibly twitchy, and that sort of bared itself out. 4.65, only 33 on the vertical. Yeah. And that's actually what you see when you watch him play. So, again, it's no surprise, but when you compare him to the guys that were ahead of him in terms of their 40 times, their three-cone drills, and the broad jump, and all the things we like to see tonight, he didn't quite measure up. But he's the exact same player we thought he was. He just so happened to run a 4.65 when we saw 4.2 also tonight.
Brady, what about for you, who maybe is struggling to make peace with their performance here on Thursday?
Well, we talked about it coming into it. I mean, Pete's guy, Carson Strong, he was excited to see. I was excited to see. I think he's got one of the best arms in this quarterback class, and he didn't throw overly well. Just had a hard time, really trying to zone in on guys, whether it was the deep ball, some of the shorter intermediate routes. You see a low throw there. That was a constant. And I think sometimes, look, when you're throwing to guys you haven't thrown to and you're throwing in an environment you've never been in before, it could be a little nerve-wracking. Let's be honest. Like, this is not the normal conditions that you're used to throwing in as a quarterback. You're used to a pass rush. You're used to crowd noise. All these things. We had some people in attendance, but it wasn't quite the same. He was a less accurate passer than what I saw on tape. That was one of those things where it didn't really match up. And I think because of that, it almost makes you go back, much like you're talking about Taekwon Thornton and David Bell. Let's go back and look at our notes. I'm going to do the same thing for Carson Strong. What did I miss? What did I see? Because he didn't display the same level of accuracy and really arm strength. I didn't see the ball jump out of his hand quite as much as what I saw on tape.
In terms of somebody that did catch your eye here, a surprise standout. Oftentimes, championships are built well beyond the first round. Who's the guy that maybe is jumping up your personal board, Brady?
Jelani Woods, the tight end out of Virginia. I thought he had a phenomenal day. When you look at his frame, 6'7", 260 pounds. The guy ran, a 4.61 official 40 at that size? It was ridiculous. He was the strongest of any of the tight ends in the bench. I know not everyone benched today, but you watched them kind of run the drills, and even they brought out the sled today for some of the dry blocking. I mean, a lot of these guys are your traditional wide tight ends. I thought he did a heck of a job for as tall as he is, bending, showing leverage, showing his strength. I think he did himself a ton. Look at that long stride. I mean, he's a red zone target. He's a big body target. I think he did himself a lot in climbing up some draft boards with how he performed today.
No, you're exactly right, Brady. And we were talking about he didn't play that fast necessarily, but as you pointed out, he is a long strider. Once he gets going.
I got long legs. I used to tell people all the time, I'm just slow, but I used to lie to them and say, I'm a long strider.
Like you said earlier tonight, 0 to 20 Once you got 20 to 40, it was on. Yeah. For me, it's Alec Pierce, and we were talking about this earlier as well when we saw his 40 time, which was still 4.33 officially, I believe. He didn't play quite that fast. No. But also, if you're running a 4.33, and I think he had the best vertical at 40.5 inches, I mean, that's something there, and that's something you can work with, and that certainly gets your attention. To me, he was a day 2 guy, maybe early day 3 guy based on the way he played. But we had this conversation earlier. You go back and watch again and make sure you didn't miss something, because if he ran a 4.52, I'd be like, oh, that sounds about right. 4.33 is a different story.
It sounds weird to say. I almost wonder if his lack of speed in game has anything to do with maybe not wanting to outrun Desmond Ridder, because he doesn't have the strongest arm, even though I thought Ridder actually threw the football well tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, let's be real about it. None of these guys can do what they do, if not for the hog mollies, and they will take center stage on Friday. It's offensive line, it's running back Ryan Wilson, who's highlighted as your must-watch come Friday.
It's going to be Ike Ekwonu. He's my favorite offensive lineman in this draft class. I've had him going number 1 overall in recent mock drafts. Pete likes Evan Neal. Pete Prisco likes Evan Neal a little better, and it's 1 and 1A if we're being realistic about it. But here's the thing about Ekwonu that is so amazing when you watch him. He's going to drive guys literally 30 yards off the ball in the run game. And he admitted today when we spoke with him that he needs to tighten up his pass sets, but he was still really, really good because of that athleticism and strength as a pass blocker. But here's the thing that sticks out to me, and I can't wait to see him to work out tomorrow. He was the state wrestling champ, which makes sense. He's an offensive lineman. But the thing that blew my mind is that he ran the anchor leg in the 4x100 of his high school team at 285, guys. And he is smoking guys out there. So he said sub 4.5. I believe him.
What?
So
sub 4.5. That's got to be
I'm sorry, sub 5.
Okay, I was like, sub 4.5 with that guy outside? We had on Thursday. He might be dancing in that range, and then we'll get the official
sub
number.
5 based on his anchor leg. That's a little ambitious for sure.
That's got to be the slowest 4x1 I've ever heard in my life.
I'm not sleeping on him, though.
Look, I talked to an O-line coach today about Ike Ekwonu, and he said, look, he's special. Like, there's some things that he does on tape that you can't teach. You're born with, you kind of have. You can develop to a degree, but he talked about how excited he was to sit down, interview with them, talk to him, and much like the rest of this offensive line class, great class. Evan Neal. Evan Neal, to me, I said earlier today, and I mean it, he's going to be the Tristan Wirfs of this year's class, because he's going to look the part, he's going to move the part, and it might even be better than necessarily what you see on tape in comparison to Ike Ekwonu. And not to say that Evan Neal doesn't have good tape, but the reality is I think he's going to be one of those guys that tests extremely well at the Combine tomorrow.
Brady, Ryan, fantastic stuff as always, because when in doubt, Brady, you draft Bama. Continuing coverage throughout the week here from Indianapolis. The fun has just begun as the coverage continues Friday with can't-miss interviews, workout reaction, all the info you need on the future of your franchise.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.